Hello everyone. Today I will present to everyone a movie named The New Girlfriend. The movie is about a husband after his wife dies. He immediately disguised himself as a woman to get close to his wife's best friend. The lost wife's name is Laura. Her best friend is Claire. At Laura's funeral, Claire told the husband about their friendship. When they were children, they both swore their life and death together. They also do not know what love is. Both are always stick together, going through a lot of stories, happy and sad together. After growing up, they both find the perfect halves for themselves. Laura met the handsome David, and Claire had the gallant Giles in her eyes. The two become bridesmaids for each other's wedding. Witness the important moments together of the other's life. Two families are well connected. Laura also let Claire be her child's godmother. But the happiness didn't last long. After giving birth to her first daughter, Laura unfortunately died, leaving the husband to raise his daughter alone. As a godmother, Claire determined to keep her promise to Laura, taking care of the father and daughter. But facing the death of her best friend, she still could not calm down. One day she used up her courage to visit David and his daughter, but she was very surprised to find out he disguised himself as a woman. The flashy makeup dad is feeding the baby milk. Turns out he has a hobby of disguise. After returning to the form of a man, he said to Claire, he has always liked women's clothes. After meeting Laura, he never wore those things. Now because he misses Laura so much, he has to do so. But Claire said, it was just a lie to her. Knowing that hobby isn't just the desire to satisfy his own wishes. It is a metabolic disease. Before Claire left, David kept her. Please don't talk about this with his daughter and his wife's parents. Claire refuses him and leaves. But when she gets home she doesn't talk about this with Giles. Giles did not think much of it either. He's going to invite David over for dinner tomorrow to comfort him, hoping he would soon forget this pain. The next day, Claire was thinking, not sure how to face the party tonight. At that moment she received a call from David. He asked to see her privately. Do not know what she was thinking now. All of a sudden, she agrees to meet him. When Giles asks her who was calling, she lies that it was a high school friend named Virginia. But that is in fact it is the name of a hotel right across from where she works. After her husband left the house, she put on her makeup and put on nice clothes. Then came to David's house. Now she knows. He called her over and wanted her to help him choose his outfit, watching his back as he walked upstairs, also wearing Laura's clothes. Claire suddenly watched blankly. She felt like she could see Laura in front of her. In this moment, she was touched by his work. No more disgust when he wore women's clothes. Then she also took care of the child with him. Claire wanted to advise him, don't disguise like that. But she can't speak it out. On the contrary, she was also attracted to him. David told her, he hopes to one day go to a women's shop, buy clothes that he likes, but now he does not have the courage. So it was only possible to adjust Laura's clothes to wear. David opened his wardrobe, choose a dress to try. He also told Claire, he himself has long liked to wear women's clothing. Once he stole his mother's dress, but unexpectedly at this moment, his mother-in-law came to visit. So Claire had to go downstairs to buy him some time, to give David time to change. While talking, she also helped him hide. At night, Giles and his wife invited David to dinner. But when talking, Giles discovered David's eyes kept on staring at the waitress. So he joked with David. This made Claire unhappy. Giles sees this as an excuse to go to the toilet, to ease this oppressive atmosphere. After he left, Claire and David chat more naturally. He invited her to go shopping together. Later, Claire also called him Virginia. David heard this new name, and he really likes it. The next day, Claire went to David's house. She saw him wearing a pink dress to go to the mall. But Claire said he should wear something more casual. Although he didn't want to, David still went to the room. Take out a simpler dress instead. Look at David's clumsy. Claire helped him to zip his dress up his back. She happily adjusted his wig for him. That moment made Claire feel these familiar emotions, very similar between her and the old Laura. Then they drove to the mall. David was wearing women's clothing so he was a little shy. Claire constantly encouraged him, help him gain more confidence. David also told himself the same thing. Now he is Virginia, not David. Then he also felt more confident. David gently took off his headband. He confidently walked into all the women's stores. Before leaving, Claire told him, next time we will go shopping together. David finished listening. He was surprised. Claire said it was her own wish. She didn't tell him that she saw Laura in him. After that, both of them went to the movies together. Claire suddenly found out a man was mistaking David for a woman. He even fumbled with David's thighs. But David's expression was very relaxed. After going out, Claire asked him if David likes men, but David answered her, he just likes the feeling of being considered as a woman. He then holds Claire's hand to thank her for helping him experience being a woman for the first time. David is very happy to be recognized by others. At the intimate act of Claire, an old man was looking. Fear of misunderstandings. Claire hurriedly took her hand back. A few days later, David couldn't help himself. Desiring to live like a woman, he wants to live as Laura. David asked Claire to go out on the weekend. Since Claire misses Laura so much, she decides to meet him. Then Claire lied to Giles about visiting her mother to accompany David to the villa in the suburbs. Looking at the old room, all the objects were familiar. They all remind her of Laura. She burst into tears with her head on David's shoulder. He also comforted her gently. Then they went for a walk together. Claire took him to where she and Laura usually have fun as children. It is a swing under an old tree. Go through the rocky path beside the stream. Together they looked for the heart shape carved on the roadside tree. Eventually, the two of them arrived in front of Laura's grave. Tribute to your old friend. Then they returned to the mansion. Enjoy a sumptuous party of just the two. David tells her what his dream is. Move away from the noise to a peaceful place. Live a new life, as a woman. But Claire thought it was a crazy dream, far from reality, and advised him to quickly return to reality. But David was lost in that thought. Now he can't get it out. After dinner, the two of them go to a bar right near the villa. Seeing the dancers on stage dressed in splendid costumes, David looked at her with admiration. He is determined to give up the self of the past. On the way back, he told Claire, before Laura died, he is always on duty beside the hospital bed. He also put on his own makeup and dress for her. Then David lay beside her. Since that moment, his desire to wear women awakened. After hearing David open up, back in Claire aroused a sudden desire. She lies on a small bed. In her dream, she defies social prohibitions. She and Laura kissed passionately. The next morning, when she was still immersed in a dream, then David appeared in front of her. Claire realized that she had to face the reality. Giles discovered that she was lying. So keep texting her asking if she liked David. So they must hurry back. On the way back, Claire told David they have to return to their normal life. David's hobby of pretending to be a girl is an illness that needs to be treated. It sounds very disappointing for David. Claire goes home to relieve Giles's mind. Claire told him after Laura passed away, David has changed his personality and likes men. After calling to talk to David, Giles to believe what she said. Then they invited David to play. Seeing intimate action of the host couple, David suddenly realized when he lived in Virginia he fell in love with Claire. But to hide it, he told them he has found a gentle female psychologist to help him heal himself. After listening, Claire felt very worried. Before David left, she looked for him to talk to, with the reason that she worries David would reveal they are lying to Giles. Virginia will disappear forever once the therapy is over. She was unconscious about her reliance on Virginia. But David lied to her that he was cured. Then Claire left annoyedly. She told him they were both over. Then David also left her life. Claire went back to her normal life. But her heart is empty. She worked blankly. Even lose her appetite. Life became boring. In the end, because she was too lonely, she ran over to David's house, standing from a distance watching him and his daughter play. A few days later, she and her husband went to play tennis. She turned her back and saw David walked over in his sportswear. When all three play sports together, Claire took the opportunity to ask David why he didn't contact her. Is it because he no longer likes to pretend to be a woman? But his reason was that he didn't want to disturb her life. So he did not want to continue to be a woman. David's attitude was somewhat clunky, making Claire want to be closer to him. She even stealthily went to the men's bath, sneaking a look at David and his husband in the shower. She also began to develop paranoia away from reality. Imagine David seducing her husband. The alarm in her mind goes off, and doesn't stop resounding. She ran out of the bathroom quickly. But then when she finished bathing, David came to find her. After listening to Claire, she missed a woman named Virginia very much. David couldn't help it either. The longing nostalgia in his heart. He pulled her into the dark. Both of them kissed passionately. But Claire's consciousness wouldn't allow herself to go wrong with Laura. She pushed David away. Her feelings were tangled. She left David alone. When she got home, she never forgot what had happened. Claire immediately texted David to apologize. Also, they will meet at the Virginia hotel. David puts on lovely makeup to meet her. He doesn't want to hide it anymore, and want to take the name of Virginia to stay by Claire's side. Claire also did not want to continue fooling herself. She admitted that she loved Virginia. Both face true feelings. They cling to each other. But at this moment, Claire still couldn't overcome the binding of morality. She ran away again. When she got back to the company, she saw outside the window David openly wears women's clothes walking on the street. She immediately texted him. Tell him to pay attention to his actions. But unexpected. Because David was too focused on answering Claire's messages, he was hit by a car. David's parents-in-law and Giles both knew now. His hobby is disguising himself as a woman. Claire looked at David lying on the hospital bed deep in a coma. She is extremely regretful. But she did not have the courage to tell Giles everything. Right now she's stuck in the middle. One side is the considerate husband and the comatose lover. She can't bear the torment anymore. Finally, she listens to the whispers of the heart. Claire made her decision. She went to the hospital. She sings the song that David likes best. Help him put on a woman's suit. Claire's voice helped wake David up. Then, Claire brought David home. Right now he is still wearing a female outfit. Claire told Giles this is Virginia, her new friend. 7 years later, David was wearing women's clothing with Claire, picking up his daughter after school. The whole family of 3 happily walking in the warm sunshine. This movie is not just about the true love story. It also reveals a sensitive issue existing in society. That is the need to transform into another sex. As a higher animal, human emotions are very diverse. The issue of gender has become even more complicated. Gender is never absolute. It will change with emotional change. Hopefully each one of us being able to live true to who you are, to have a meaningful and good life. Looking back, there will be no regrets. Today's movie is over. See you all.